some facial posing. So we're going to be taking this character here and just trying to give a nice, appealing, and believable facial expression. That's going to be the key here. Is I don't want just a generic facial expression that is like happy, sad. Those are, I don't want to say that they're okay, but I want something that is believable. And that's going to be the tricky part. Creating a believable expression is hard. There's a lot of factors that go in. So, for example, let's do, what expression should we do? I'm trying to think. We've done happy before. It's definitely an easy one. Maybe let's try sadness. I don't know if we've ever done sadness on the stream. Embarrassed, we could do embarrassed. Embarrassed is a lot of body language. Like, let's go full screen. I can just kind of keep a neutral face and kind of start closing myself off, and that adds embarrassment. The facial expression, like you can be happy embarrassed or sad embarrassed or scared embarrassed. It's a lot of the body. Now that's not to say it's not an expression, it's just a harder one to sell just in the face. Despair, that's a good one. So despair is kind of a lack of thought, I guess you could say. So for example, sadness is everything like scrunching up and the tears coming out, everything getting sad and puffy. Despair is this kind of blankness, this what, like the brain can't even process information. That just, it's so sad that it's beyond sadness, beyond thought. You could almost call it shell shocked, or like that kind of 1,000-yard stare of, oh no, nothing's gonna be right again. Yeah, you have tears of happiness. That's a fun one to try and animate because it's sad but happy, and you have to kind of make them both work together. Cocky, that's a lot of body posture as well. So it's kind of standing up straighter. Now you can do the same leaning forward, but it's kind of this squint and like, yeah, I got it. A lot of the mouth shape helps with that. Apathy, not caring. That's gonna be like the flat eyes. Really? Sure. I don't care. I don't have any, like, it's just that, yeah, I'm putting on a front. It doesn't matter to me either way. Ashamed. Ashamed is, there's a lot of ashamed. Ashamed is a emotion based on subtext, and actually this is a big thing that is going to be across all of these emotions. Whichever one we pick, it's going to be based on the subtext. So this is the first thing we should go over. Is what is the subtext of your scene? What is the subtext of the character and their thinking? So this applies to anything. So for example, happiness. When we're happy, why are we happy? As an animator, we have to ask ourselves, why is our character happy here? Are they happy because they've seen their long lost family? Maybe they lost their parents when they were kids and they found them again after 5 years. Ecstatic happiness with a little bit of like sadness in there. What are they feeling at that time? What's their thought process? Is it happy because, oh, I just found the last slice of pizza, yay? No cooking breakfast today, haha, yum. So when you know the subtext, it'll help you figure out what the range is. The worst thing you can do when you're doing facial posing, or any posing really, is just to go in and make a happy face, because that's not going to tell a story. That's not going to be believable to the moment. It's just going to be a generic happy face. And hey, Fabiana, thanks so much for the sub. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much. Wow, 14 months already. Jeez. Thank you so much. Um, so, uh, let's see. I think there was a question up here. Will we share how to interpret the expression reference? Yeah, a little bit. So we're going to go into analyzing expression and kind of building into a pose. So, like I was saying, let's actually just do a quick, just random pose. So I'm going to do sadness. I want to kind of stick to the core emotion for now, and then we can see if we can build in some stuff if we have time. So let's just kind of push a generic sadness. So this is something I'll see a lot of students do as they're working on their shots. They'll go in, we'll just set a key here, and let's start making it sad. So sadness is mouth down. Okay, that's kind of the generic like emoji face sad, just down curled there. And then the eyebrows, let's get that in here. Oops. Are kind of down like that. There we go. Sadness. That's pretty much it. And is that bad? Not necessarily, honestly. It's definitely recognizable. There's a reason why emoji faces and smiley faces are so prevalent. So for example, if I just do this and I make sure I can actually draw here. Boop, 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 and doot, doot, doot. Those read as emotions. It's generic, but it reads. It actually reads very well. As humans, we are built to read these simple lines as an emotion and as a character. It's why we find faces in everything. You look at a cloud, you see a face. You look at some trees and you see a face in the bark or something like that. We see faces everywhere. So, is it bad? No. But how can we make it better? How can we push this to be a little bit more clear and just have more life to it, I guess you could say? Well, the first thing is that we need to realize the connectivity of the face. The face is all connected. No matter what we do, one part will affect another. So let's just go with the sad kind of downwards turn of the mouth. When you're looking at a face and you can see that downwards turn, it's not just the corners like I did in my shot coming down like this. No. If I try it with my hands, I can just pull that down. But if I try it with my actual mouth, see what happens with the jaw? When those corners go down, the jaw goes forward. The lips go up. See that bottom lip? Goes up. So you've got this whole swing of the jaw going through just to bring these corners of the mouth down. There's a lot of sympathetic action that goes through the entire face, no matter what you're doing. So for example, when you squint, it's not just the eye squinting. So when I do this, look at my mouth. So squint, that whole mouth is getting pulled up. I'm trying not to activate my mouth, but you can see that corner right there is being pulled. If I do the other side, that side gets pulled. Everything's connected. So that's going to be the first thing that really helps to sell a good facial expression, is pushing that connectivity, pushing that way that all of the pieces of the face move together. So how do we start analyzing this? Well, one is we feel it out. If you're doing a facial pose, it's good to have a mirror, or most of us have a webcam now, and just look at yourself doing that facial expression. So if you want to do a happy face, look at the change and kind of go back and forth. Normal, happy, normal, happy. Look at where everything is connected and really try to exaggerate it too. So don't just go a little happy, go really happy. So you can really see where everything moves. That'll get you an understanding of the sympathetic action. It's it seems basic, but it's very important. It's why most animators have a mirror at their desk the whole time they're working. A lot of artists do as well. And Johan, thanks for the reminder. So that's going to be the first thing here. Now, oh, do I use Discord? Yes, we do have a Discord server. There's the link to it right there. I try to be active in it. I haven't been lately because I've been super busy with work, but if anyone wants to join in and request demos, you can do that in there. This demo here today is a requested demo. So someone asked me how I approach facial animation. So the next thing to do when you're looking at facial expressions is look up reference. Just find reference online. Now, when you're looking at reference online for facial expressions especially, you have to be very careful. So let's just do a Google search here and then I'll show on the screen. So I just did a search for sad expression and I looked at images and we get all of these. Now, the problem with these is a lot of times you will get stock photos. So something like this one here. That's not a person actually sad. That's someone in front of a camera who is told, look sad, and they pretend to be sad. That's not true sadness. And it definitely, this has like that smiley emoji face feeling, like it's just a smiley face. It's just very basic. What you want to do is try to look for true emotion in here. Look for actual photos. It can be hard sometimes, but look for photos of people actually feeling that emotion. You're going to find a lot more subtleties in those expressions, especially more extreme ones. Now, what I actually like to do when I'm looking for expression changes and things like that is to look up videos of characters, or of people, I should say, who are going through something that would cause them to feel a certain emotion. Sometimes it's hard because cameras can shake a lot, but what that gives you is the true feeling of a shot or of a character. So for example, for kind of happy sad, a great video to check out is colorblind people trying on color glasses for the first time. So let's see if we can find one here. So these are glasses that help to make it so colorblind people can actually see color. And when you look at this, there's a lot of things I love about this. You get really genuine facial expressions. So for example, here, I think it'll start right around here. Like you can see his mouth is starting to get pulled in. Now it's tightening up, and you can see now it's the happy sad. He's crying, but it's because of happiness. He's not crying because he's sad and like something bad has happened. Something so like mind-blowing has happened and he's feeling it. What I also love about this as an animator is this is where you get a lot of genuine subtleties that you see in the body. So like if you watch just the way he handles the balloon here, watch his hand. Like he's got a little shake as he touches it. He doesn't just grab the balloon, his hand actually shakes on the balloon as he touches it. Right here he's kind of like he's moving the balloon, but he can't keep his hand still as he's trying to do something. These are great little things that we as animators can add into our work. I think there's another good one. Where was it? Now, the problem with these videos specifically here is that you're not going to see the eyes. But like a little Danny mentioned, we still get the emotion in the rest of the face. So like here, I love his the way he moves as his brain is processing this, as he's like thinking of all these colors and things he hasn't seen before. just the way he kind of shifts his weight and moves around, it's really cool. So looking up videos now, whatever video you're looking up, it's just trying to find something that is true. So someone mentioned a video of kids playing with kittens or puppies. Yes, that's, you're gonna get some true emotion. Or look for videos of kids not getting their Christmas present that they wanted, when a kid just has a breakdown over not getting the toy that they wanted. It's kind of a it's not the most fun to watch, but you're gonna get that true either anger or sadness or emotion in there. I think there was, let's see if I can find it here. There's a good video a while back. That was, is it this one? Give me 1 second. Yeah, so this one here. So this is let me get to the beginning here. This is a little girl being told that they're going to be going to Disneyland. So you can see the moment. I'm not going to play with audio, but you can see the moment right here where she's told they're going to Disneyland, and how her head just snaps up, and watch her eyes and her face, and then the happy sad. the sudden breakdown here. So this is going to be a big part of getting believable emotion, is studying this reference, finding out what happens when we have these thoughts, this emotion that goes through us. And are children's expressions similar to adults? Yes. We have the same muscle structure, the same basic structure. The really big difference is that kids have a lot more baby fat on their face, so you're not going to get as many wrinkles and things like that. But is that a problem? Not really. The other thing is that kids tend to not, this depends on the kid as well, but you'll notice like when she starts to cry here, she keeps her mouth open a long time. When we grow up, as we kind of grow up, we tend to keep our mouth closed a little bit more, because it's just that, like, we're taught growing up keeping your mouth open is rude. So when we yawn, we cover our mouths, things like that. Kids haven't reached that yet, so it's more of a pure emotion. So there's going to be differences, yes, but overall the main musculature and stuff like that is the same. So yeah, going through like just these videos of people's reactions, whatever it is, that's going to get you some great reference for what happens in the face. It's not going to be perfect, but it gets you pretty close. So all of that just to say, don't go with the stock sad face. You just like go here and then, ooh, sad. And then where was the one we picked first? This one. That's not sad. That's someone faking being sad. That's the equivalent of this pose we've done right here. So even if we try to act, we can't get that pure emotion. Exactly. And this is the joy of animation, is that in animation, unlike acting, we can really study an expression and push it. So for example, if I was trying to act out an emotion, unless I feel it myself, it's hard to replicate perfectly unless you're a really, really good actor. And honestly, there are some actors that do it beautifully, that really feel like they are like grief-stricken when they're being sad. As an animator though, what we have the advantage of is that we can study true sadness, true happiness, true emotions, and try to bring it back and take the time to improve that performance. So it makes it harder, because we have to do everything. We have to think about how the emotion works versus just doing it. But we also have the advantage of having the time to really structure it. Let's see, I'm just going to catch up with the chat here. So let's see, I believe that the difference of colorblind. Okay. So let's go in here. So I'm just going to take this facial pose and we're going to reset it. And we're going to go over one other thing that I would recommend doing before starting any emotional practice, like emotional facial practice. And this goes for any practice at all. Look up reference, not just of real faces, but of animated films. Look at how an animated film made a sad character. So let me find one here. And as I look for this, I'll just kind of explain the process here. The reason for this is that as much as we can study real life and then try to go into our animation, our rigs don't always have the same controls and the same features that the human face does. Sometimes there's limitations. There's going to be things that we can and cannot do. So instead of just trying to figure it out on our own, what you do is look up how other animators did the same thing. How did an animator make a character truly feel sad? So this is going to go into some spoiler territory. So I'm going to be opening Frozen 2 here because I feel like that had some really good moments. So if you haven't seen Frozen 2, spoiler warning. But there's some great scenes in here of sadness. And let's see. Like right in here. You get some really good emotional sadness in there. And for some reason I can't. There we go. Doesn't want to let me frame through. So this is a kind of despair mixed with sadness, and there's a lot of good variation through this. So if you're looking for improving your facial posing, look at animated films. It could be 2D, it could be CG, but really pay attention to what they've done. It's going to help boost that ability to take what you see in the reference and push it into your animation. So just whenever you see a film that you feel like, oh man, that emotion was super clear, ending of Toy Story 3, that's one of my favorites, then look back on it, study it. So that's going to be the big things. Study reference. Now, with all of that, you're going to study your sad pose, your happy pose, whichever pose you're doing. And now at some point you're ready to go into your shot and start animating it. So we've got our reference, we've got our analysis, we've got our mirror in front of us, or in this case a webcam. We're ready to jump in. At this point, we just need to approach this in a structured way. As you're pushing your facial expressions, what you don't want to do is just kind of move things around randomly and hope for the best, or run into a situation where you're overly pushing one part of the face without adjusting another. So I could just push the entire mouth, only do that, get that perfect mouth shape, and then go for the eyes. And that could work, but I could create a disconnect and I might end up having to redo a lot of work. So as I'm posing the face, there's a kind of structure that I try to go for on this. So the first thing is going to be just quickly getting a body pose. Now, if you're in the middle of animating, you should have a pose already for your body. So yay. In this case, since I'm just doing the face, I'm just going to quickly pose out the body very basically. So bring the arms down. Maybe if he's crying and sad, the shoulders will be slumped down a little bit, like that. Maybe the neck's going to be a little bit more forward. Just kind of get a line going through there. Does it make a huge difference? No, but it's going to help push the entirety of the pose more clearly than just a still face. The other thing, think of your head angle. Now, actually, there's a question here. In the Keyframe Pro, there's a ghosting tool? Yes. So in Keyframe Pro, which I'm using right here, there is a ghosting tool. It's these two buttons right here. If I draw on this frame here, I can ghost that right there. So as we're going through, we do a quick pose of the body. Next, pose out the head angle. This is one of the biggest things that I tend to see when students are doing facial posing, like just assignments or facial posing tests. They never pose the angle of the head. They just do the face. And the big thing with the angle of the head is it really helps to exaggerate a facial expression. So let's go full screen here and just kind of prove that. If I smile and I look just straight at the camera, it can kind of feel like it feels like a genuine smile, just staring at the person. If I raise my head up, it's the same smile. It makes me feel more confident. Now we're getting into that cocky territory versus this, which feels more genuine. If I do this, it's sinister. If I'm smiling at someone like this, it's not going to be a good time for like that person. They're not going to trust me if I'm looking at them like this. But if I tilt my head up, it's the same smile. So even to the side, if you give a side smile, that starts to get a little creepy versus a genuine smile, which is straight on. Yeah, evil bow. Yes. So that head angle plays a huge part in your expression. So for the sadness here, if I'm going to kind of go for the sadness, again, this is where you'd have your mirror. Try it out yourself. So I'll look at my mirror and I'll see what I can do. So if I'm sad and I want to kind of push the angle, well, if I go up, that doesn't feel sad, kind of feels confused. If I bring it at eye level, that kind of feels sad. But if I go a little lower, not too low, but just a little lower, that helps to kind of increase that like puppy dog, that hurt puppy dog expression, the head slightly tilted, and not just that, like pulled away slightly, not straight on, but like, oh, that gives you that puppy dog feeling. It's that, oh no, they hurt me, but I'm so sad, I'm so sorry, what did I do wrong? That kind of feeling. So if I want to push that, it's just a little bit of down and over, and then you can even tilt the head over to the side, but that kind of starts adding curiosity in there. So it's a little bit more straight. So going back to our pose here, I'm actually going to take the eyes and just make sure that they don't follow the head here. Okay, so let's just get that head angle somewhat right. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just a little bit. So we're gonna tilt it just kind of this way, just a bit. Maybe I'll bring the eyes down so it doesn't look like he's looking too high up. Okay. Now, does this mean that this is the final head angle for the whole shot? No. It's really just getting approximately where we want it to be. Maybe just a little lower here. So angle is now a thing. So maybe I'll take the head and move it just a little bit more forward here too. Just relax that neck a little bit. Okay, so we've gotten all of that in place, all of these little elements. At this point, let's actually, I'm just going to go here. I forgot to set a key on the neck, so I want to reset that back so we get the default, that expression that we had here. Okay, so next thing, as we approach a facial pose, we want to work our way from the large pieces into the smaller pieces. So large controls, the ones that control the big mouth motions, the big eyebrow motions, the big eye motions. And usually what I'll try to do is I start with the eyes first, then I go to the mouth. The reason that I start with the eyes is the eyes tend to be the big thing that helps to sell an expression. So let's kind of go with the eyes first. Now, when we're sad, our eyes tend to kind of close up a little bit. You can see if I try to do that, it's this outer brow that comes down, pushes on the eye, creates that sad expression. Let's actually draw this out. So if you've got your eye shape here, let's actually not have the character look up. If you've got your eye right there, and you want to make a character sad, it's that expression right here. It's that kind of swoop on the outer edge of the eye. Now, the big thing with this is it's similar to an angry expression. An angry expression is this, crossing over the inner edge of the eye. With both of these, it is not so much the eye lids itself that are shaping the eye. It's the skin around it. So a big issue I see with student work is, let's kind of go to the eyelid here, and we'll create that sad expression. I bring this down here, like so. And you get that. And, well, definitely that looks like there's something wrong with his eye, especially if it just suddenly droops like that. But that's not really what's happening. What's happening is that our brow is overlapping the eyelid. Again, same thing with angry. When I see people do an angry expression, they tend to push the eyes like this. Doesn't really look like it looks angrier, but it's not right. That is because the eye doesn't change shape, the eyeball, the eyelid. Instead, it's the skin around it. So when I do this, if you look right here, it's the skin of the brow overlapping the eye. If I kind of pull this up, the eyelid is the same. Boop, sad, normal, sad, normal. Same thing with angry. If I do this, we get that cross over the eye. But if I open up, you see the eyelids, same thing. The eyelids stay the same. It's the brow over top. So if I wanted angry, let's just use that as an example. I would not push the eyelid. I would push the brows down like that. If I want sad, I'm going to take the brows, and let's actually kind of do both at the same time just to get them roughly in the same position. And then I would push that down like that. See how suddenly we're starting to get that sadness? And we haven't really done anything yet. It's just getting that overlap. This is where studying your expressions really helps. A little bit of an overlap over the eyelid is helping to shape the eye into something that feels sadder. Okay, so we've got a very quick brow expression here. Let's kind of go to the eyes. Now, when we're sad, our eyes tend to squint just a little bit as we try to hold back the tears. So I'm just going to bring the lower lids up a little bit here. Now, if I just do this, it's going to start feeling a little weird. Once again, look at your own face. Try to bring your eyelids, your bottom lids up, and as high as you can. This is about as much as I can here. You can kind of see just a little shift. So it's more just the bags of the eyes that are changing. What actually brings your bottom lids up more than anything is the cheeks. The cheeks compress upwards, and that pushes the bottom lids. We don't really have much control over the bottom lid of our eye, which means that as our character brings that lid up, we want to add tension into the cheeks. This is, again, sympathetic action. Now, do I have to do this now? Not really, because this is my initial blocking phase of the eye. I really don't have to go too far into detail at this moment. but it's something I have to keep in mind. If I'm moving these, I need to bring in the rest of the face. Okay. Now, one thing I will do at this point is this character has this like lower skin control for the eye. I'm going to bring that up too to help add some tension. Okay. So we've got that. Is it great? Yeah, not really, but we're starting to get a core of that expression. Okay. Now, we've done the eye super quick. Let's go to the mouth. Again, I'm trying to bring up everything evenly instead of focusing a ton of time on the eye only to realize that the mouth was off the whole time and now it screws everything up. And part of that is right now, if we look at this expression, this is a little bit of that happy sad. That like sad eyes, but if I just kind of do this, it's, oh, happy sad. That kind of, oh, sure. Or like, it's kind of that, really? You really mean that? Like someone's going in, oh, it's okay. Your art's really good. It's actually really good. Really? That kind of feeling. We don't want that. We want sadness. So if I keep blocking out the eyes here, that mouth might throw me off. So let's get the mouth in here. Now, once again, sadness. Let's do the mouth here. The kind of sadness down. Now, there's a lot of different ways you could do this. You could go the really cliche, pout, sad, something like that. But a lot of times sadness is not that caricatured. It's just kind of the lips tighten up. You get a little bit, maybe a little bit of a pout, but it's that bottom lip pushing up into the top lip. So your mouth doesn't do this. It comes up. The jaw comes forward just a tad. Exactly. It's a constriction to protect. Everything's coming in. Your tears are starting to come out. The face is getting puffy. Your chin is wiggling. There's a lot of little elements in here. But if we just focus on the mouth, it's coming up. You can see the sympathetic action of the cheeks bunching up. So this is a nice thing I look for in my shots. Look at the silhouette of the face. So turn your head to your mirror or your camera so you can see the cheek here. And then look at what happens when you smile. See how that changes? You get that bump right here versus sad. You get a bump right down there versus angry. It's still flat. So angry and smiling, you get a different change. Smiling is out here, anger is in here. So you look at that shape of the face. That's going to help determine where that weight is going. So, comes up. Lips are being pushed up in the center. Down a little bit in the corners. It's tighter. The top lip is coming up. The bottom lip they're both tightening together against each other. And the chin comes forward just a little bit. So we're not going to try to get all of that detail in right away, but we can get the big ones. So first one, let's just actually get the lips up higher right here. Look at that. See how that feels a little bit more genuine than when I take the corners and go down. This makes it feel like his face is drooping. The mouth kind of stays at its neutral position and everything droops down. But when you raise the mouth, it's very subtle, but you get that tension in there. And then from there, we can lower the mouth just a little bit more. That raising and lowering of the mouth is crucial as animators. We need to push that. Our mouths are very stretchy. They go side to side, up and down. So we can kind of push that here. Now you'll notice I'm doing both sides evenly. This is again just for the basic block out. It really depends on the expression. Some expressions are like really like let's say a cocky expression. The corner of the mouth goes up on the one side. At that point, I'll kind of block that in like this. Because this is more of a subtle one, I want to kind of bring everything into the same place approximately. And then let's take the chin and I'm just going to raise that up and just scoot it forward just a bit here. Just a scooch. Okay. So we've got a basic facial expression. Is it great? No. It still needs a lot of work. But I'm kind of getting on the right track. I pushed everything into their approximate places. So from here, I can start refining. I can start pushing the individual elements to be more dynamic, push the line of action of the face, try to push the asymmetry of the face. So let's go back to the eyes. Now, as I'm posing out the eyes, the easiest thing to do right now is just to do the brows. So part of this is going to be, before I even think of anything, I need to think of the asymmetry. Which way do I want to push this face? Now, my usual question that I ask myself, this really depends on the shot, but typically I'll just ask myself, are they invested in what they're looking at or afraid of what they're looking at? Or do they like what they're looking at? Do they not like what they're looking at? So this is just a basic kind of psychology thing where if we're interested in something we're looking at, our eyes are going to open up on that side. So if I look over there, ooh, a plate of cookies. Oh, yes, I want. My eyes open up. Now, if it's something I don't want, ooh, broccoli, ugh. It closes on that side. Nah, no thanks. Wherever we're looking, if we open it up, it makes them more receptive to what they're looking at. If they close off, it makes them pull away. So in this case, sadness, is he hopeful? So it's sadness, but are you okay? You'll open up on that side. If it's like, oh shoot, did I hurt you? It's going to close off that side. So if they're worried, they might close off. If they're more hopeful, it'll open up. This really depends. I actually do like broccoli. I actually like broccoli a lot, especially with a little cheese spread on. It's actually really good. And then some pepper. But cookies, I will say, if I had a plate of cookies and a plate of broccoli, man, that plate of cookies would not last long. So let's just try this. I'm going to open him up just a little bit to where he's looking. So we're going to just push that asymmetry a little bit here. And now I'm going to start shaping the brow. So when we're sad, our brows knit in. So they bring in here. You can see you get that crease right in the middle. So that's showing that the brows are pushing in. So it's down here, up, and you get that swoop. Wrong button. So let's go in here and get that crease in there. So I'm just going to pull the brows in, and already we're starting to get that tension into his forehead. Now, the amount you go here is really dependent on your shot. A lot of this is going to be dependent, but I'm going to try to push this a lot here. Oh, take care, Greg. And then I'm going to try to push that swoop in. So let's kind of push that down. And Animouth, hey, thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate that. Aw, thank you. And thanks for the drink reminder as well. Thank you so much. 4 months, geez. Oh, and fraternity, it feels like a free lesson. That's the goal of these streams. So for anyone who's new, the goal of these streams is to help teach people, mostly animators, that's kind of the goal here, but give people an insight on the way an animator kind of thinks and approaches things. And give you a place to ask questions, get feedback, all of that stuff. I actually teach at an animation school. I teach at animationmentor.com. So this is just something I'm really passionate about. I like sharing this information, hopefully making it easier for other people to access animation and kind of approach it, because it's a lot of fun. I love animation. So we've got the brows, but now we need that swoop. If we look at the overall shape of the brow, see how it's creating this kind of let's see, do I have my BH Ghost tool? I'm just going to turn on my plugin here to get some drawing tools, and I'm going to draw over top here. Or sorry, blue pencil. I don't know why I keep calling it BH Ghost. Okay. Toolbox. And so right now the brow is doing this. That's not quite the right shape that we want. Instead, what we want is this form here. That's going to help exaggerate that swoop and that shape of the outer edges of the eye. So I'm just going to go in here and start to push this. And all of a sudden you really start feeling that sadness go through. And again, depending on how cartoony you want to go, you can really start pushing these. I actually might just bring this brow up a little bit more. You can see as I push one thing, we get more contrast that we can push into another. And then maybe try to, I want to get a little bit more swoop right in the corner here. So I'm just going to rotate that just to get a little bit more of a curl here. It'll help push the pressure. There. Okay, so something like that. Now, once again, the reason this is it okay to ask for feedback if we go to a different animation school? Yes, I work for Animation Mentor, but animation is a universal concept. So if you're in another animation school, if you're not in animation school, if you're just interested in animation, if you don't know if you want to be in animation, ask questions, ask for feedback. I'm always happy to help. This is just something I like to do in my free time, to hopefully give people a resource to look into, especially if you're not able to afford animation school, or if you're not sure if it's something that you want to do. I want this to be a place that anyone can jump in and ask questions. Okay, so brows. So we've got the swoop, but just as a reminder, it's one of the biggest things that's going to be important in the brows is exaggerating the up and down. If I didn't push these down enough, so let's bring these back up. We do this. This still feels sad, but it's lacking that true sadness because we're losing that shape of the eye. And worse, if we were to, once again, do what I see a lot of people do when they start out, do this, it still feels sad, but not as genuine. Now, does that mean you can't do it? No, not at all. All of these things that I'm talking about in animation, we can push and exaggerate as much as we want. This is not real life. We can make things like broken, but still feel good. If you look at Hotel Transylvania, they do that beautifully. But if you're looking for kind of genuine emotion, the more we break it, the less as humans we can, what's the right word I'm looking for? The less we empathize with it, the more it's just a funny, or like it's a sad face and it's funny because the characters are sad. Oh, and you see the tears flying out of their eyes. But if you want like that genuine, the audience feels like, oh, my heart's breaking. Looking at this character going through what they're going through. We want to keep it a little bit more genuine. So we've got the brows here. Let's kind of keep it there for now. We can come back to them later. Again, we push the brows to one level, move on. This way we're not getting stuck on one thing the whole time. This is actually something I really learned when I started doing sculpting. That really made a big difference and helped. So let's do the eyelids next. So the eyelids, I'm just going to shape a little bit. So I'm gonna just push the angle of the lid a little bit, not enough that it just swoops down on that side, but just so we get a little bit more shaping. And the big thing I'm going to be looking for on the lid is just kind of pushing the lines of the eye. So kind of the inner edge right here. I think I could just maybe round that out just a little bit, make it feel like there's a little bit more pressure pushing down on it right here. The other thing is pushing the corners of the eye. The corners of the eye are going to be some of the most important things you touch, because those really help to sell sadness or happiness. So if I kind of push this up here, see the difference that makes? It's very slight, but this looks tired. It's that kind of like, just looking at someone, oh, there's not much going on in the rest of the face. It's just, oh, what happened? Versus crying, where when we're crying, there's more pressure that comes in when we're really sad. And what that pressure does is it pushes our cheeks up and pushes the corners of our eye up ever so slightly. Now, in real life, it's not perceptible. You see it mostly in the wrinkles and stuff. But in our animation, when our rigs are a little simpler, we can recreate that same feeling just by pushing the corners of the eye a little higher. It puts a pressure into the eyes and just kind of makes it feel like the character's more active. Their eyes aren't, for lack of a better term, lazy. Now I'm gonna add a little bit more compression to this side versus this side, just so we have that contrapposto, that squash versus stretch. And then let's just shape the eyelid just a little bit here. So there is going to be some pressure. It's going to push that eyelid down a little bit right here, but it's really just enough to feel that shape of the line there more than anything. Okay. Then where's the other control? When you start pushing eyebrows, it can become a challenge finding where your other eye controls are. So there's a control here just to push the skin between the eyelid and the eye. I'm just pushing that down a little bit to add some mass to the brows. Okay, so something like that. So that's starting to feel better. Now, another thing to watch out for is that skin below the eye. It is a very specific thing that we can push to really help enhance an eye pose. So right now I'm just doing the eyelid, trying to push the feeling that our eye has a lens to it. So if we look at the eye here, right in front of the pupil, there's actually a lens that sticks out and kind of pushes outwards. That's going to push the eyelid in that area a little bit. So I'm just pushing the eyelid a little lower right there, and then a little lower in that inner corner. But now going back to the skin, if we look at that skin, we can help to show the pressure on the face just by how much we favor one side versus another. So for example, when we're happy like this, you're going to see that the outer edge pushes up and the inner edge is loose. You can try this yourself. Just smile and you feel the pressure here. There's not much pressure there. Now, if you sneer, there's a lot of pressure here. You can feel it right in there, and no pressure right there. Like you can just feel your skin right there, and it's much looser versus when I smile, it's a little tighter there. So when we're kind of refining our face here, if I was to push the skin a little tighter on the inner edge right here, let's actually do this just by rotating like that, that's going to create the feeling of a sneer, versus if I go the other way and this puts that outer pressure on the eye. And when we're crying, that's where the pressure goes. So I'm just going to very slightly push that. So instead of just this tired eye, we start to get a little bit more of the tears are just welling up kind of feeling. It's not much, but it's going to just push it a little bit more. Again, this is what pulls away from the tired sad, that kind of dejected. I guess that's true. I guess I should just quit. He's sad, but there's no energy left, versus the active, like, I'm just trying not to cry. Please, no. You want that pressure in there. I could even push that a little bit more maybe let's take this eye here and just bring it up a little bit more. Sell that contrast between the two eyes. One's a little bigger than the other. Okay. So the eyes are definitely looking a little bit better now. At this point, I could keep refining them, but I'm going to just go, okay, I've done that. Let's move on, see what else we can do, and then come back to the eyes, see if there's something that we're missing. So let's go to the mouth. So the mouth. How can we make the mouth feel a little bit better? Well, the first thing is that I almost never keep the mouth centered on the face. It's just not that interesting. Try to favor one side versus the other. Our mouth is very flexible. So in this case, I know my line of action of the face is, or let's say our contrapposto is doing this right here. So let's do a little bit of the opposite. Let's have the mouth go this way. And what that's going to do is push the line of action of the face to be a curve instead of straight line, straight line, straight line. It's going to make the face more interesting. So let's do that. Just going to take the mouth, even just rotating it like this helps a lot. And then just kind of move it over just a tad. A little bit. It's always better to go too far and then have to pull back than to just inch your way there. Okay. So we've got that. At this point, I can start offsetting the mouth. So maybe this side's a little bit higher and maybe a little bit more pulled out versus this side, which might... Let's kind of keep it there for now. And now let's start shaping it. So when you're shaping it, again, look in your mirror, see what happens. So my top lip kind of curls in, my bottom lip, there's pressure in there. And you kind of feel the push of the lip. So they're kind of pushing up, but a little out, especially that bottom lip. So let's get that pressure in there. The top lip, I'm just going to roll in a little bit. Same with the bottom one. Make them a little tighter. Then just bring this up. And there we go. See how suddenly we feel that tension, that pressure in those lips there? From there, what else could we do? We can start shaping the lip. So right now it's just this very even curve. Now there are, most rigs kind of have 3 levels of controls on the mouth. So you have the overall global controls, the middle controls, so that would be these ones here. And then you have the fine-tuned controls, which are, they control smaller sections. I typically skip the middle one, these ones here, and just go to the fine-tuned controls, just because if I'm going to be refining the mouth shape, I might as well just go right into the detailed controls. I'm going to end up using them anyway. So what I'm doing here is I'm just adding a little bit more pressure on this side and just kind of trying to shape the lips so we get a little bit more of a wave here. Instead of just that simple line, what that wave is going to do, it's very slight, but it's going to give us the feeling of pressure, of 2 things pushing up against each other and making an imperfect line. So just a little bit right there. And you don't really need all that much to start getting a more interesting facial pose there. So with the lips there, hey, M Bales, thank you so much for the sub. Whoop whoop. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Aw, hello. Noelia, hello. So let's see, we've got that. Okay, how else can I push that? I feel like I could maybe push the mouth corner a bit more. Yeah, I kind of like that. Just pushes that offset, makes it a little tighter, push that asymmetry. And this is where, at this point, I will just try to experiment. So for example, take the mouth shape here, and what happens if I just kind of push that line a little bit more right there, push that curl? I think that works pretty well. Let me undo just to compare. I kind of like both. I'm going to keep it straighter. I feel like it adds a little bit more of that subtle sadness versus the other one where it creates a more cartoony sadness. Okay, now I'm actually going to take the lips here and actually pull them out a little bit just to add some pressure in there. We're not really going to see it from the front view, but when it moves and it's animated, we're going to feel it. Okay, so let's say, okay, the mouth is pretty good for now. What else can we do? Well, now let's actually take this here, our poor sad guy. I'm going to go one frame over, and now we've done all that. I'm going to do a quick pass on sympathetic motions. And then from there, we'll start to push everything as a whole to try and make it even more. So, sympathetic motions. This is just making sure cheeks, nose, everything on the face moves with the character. So, for example, the nose. Your nose is not just a bony structure on your face. The actual bone of the nose ends about here. The rest is all cartilage right in here. Cartilage is flexible. It's also a lot of just skin. So if you move your mouth, your nose moves as well, quite a bit. The tip of your nose moves. As you talk, your nose moves up and down. It actually bounces as you speak. So in our shot here, if I want this nose to feel like it's part of the face, I'm just going to rotate it in line with the mouth. And you can see how that pushes the line of action of the face and kind of unifies everything. The nostrils, if he's putting more pressure on that side, that nostril is going to be pushed a little bit. Versus this one, which it's still going to flare a little bit if he's sad, but maybe not quite as much. Now, this rig also has nasofold controls, which is very good. So I'm going to just add a little bit of that. I don't want too much, but that's going to help add to that pressure on that side. Maybe a little bit right in there. Okay. So that's the nose. The cheeks. Well, the cheeks, like we were saying, we want to have that pressure. It's not the smiling pressure. So it's not this, where you get that big shape change there. It's more just straight up. It's the cheekbones here, kind of the muscles there pulling up, getting that squint in there. So I'm gonna take these cheeks, push them up, and you can see how it just changes the mass of the face a little bit. It's not, again, going to be something that we really feel in one single pose, but when you're animating, if the character goes from a neutral stance to this crying stance, we're going to feel that shift in the skin. And that's very important, because if we don't have that, it'll just feel like the mouth is separate. I can even push the cheeks here a little bit. So you can see how, again, look at the silhouette of the face. We're getting a little bit of a cheek bulge there. If I push it up, it just makes it feel like he's a little bit more tense in the mouth. Like there's tension going in there. I can maybe pull that up so it's a little higher right in here. So not much. If this was a smile, I would bring this out to be like that, so you get that cheek puff. But right now we just want that tension in there. Again, sympathetic motion. What else can we do? So we've done the cheeks, the nose. We can push the eyes a little bit more. So I'm going to just try to take the eyes, and I really want to push that little bit of a squint in the bottom corner here. So it's just a little bit of shaping to help push the squint right there. Let's do the other eye. But you'll notice I didn't do this right away. The reason I try not to do this type of shaping right away is I want to make sure the whole thing works first. And then from here, I'm just doing little line changes to help enhance what is already working. If I get too caught up in the details of like the perfect shape of the eye right away, I could be wasting time, because you never know, maybe it's just not going to work. But if I can make sure that the whole thing works first, then I'm in a good spot. Okay, so something like that. Now, another thing that can help is the actual eyes themselves. We haven't really touched these here, but I have control over the iris and the pupil. So if we do this, this is definitely a different expression than that. If I want him to be really sad, I can just blow those pupils, and now we get that kind of Puss in Boots feeling. I wonder how far we could push this. There we go. Oh, he's too sad. So eyes play a big part of it. Do not forget your iris controls and your pupil controls. Especially when a character gets angry. If you want a character to really feel angry, just do that. They are going to feel pissed off. Let's see, what else can we do here? I think there's not quite enough tension on that lower lid there, so I'm going to push that up a little bit. Again, I want to feel like he's on the verge of tears, not just sad. Maybe bring that up a little bit more. Again, pushing the contrast here and there. Changes on the face don't have to be huge. This is going to be one of the big things when you're doing facial posing, is sometimes the changes almost feel like, what's the point? Why am I doing this? There's so little actual change, but just a few pixels can make a big difference in an expression. Yeah, I kind of want to see if I bring these in a little bit more. There we go. And let's see if I can bring the mouth up a little bit more as well. Again, it just adds attention. Everything's kind of coming up and adding that pressure. Now, looking at the mouth corner, I feel like I could maybe tighten this up a little bit more right here. So we get a little bit more tightness in the corner of the mouth on that side versus the other. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Now from there, let's just do one more key here. And I'm going to use this to help push. On lots of more advanced rigs, you will have bend bows or bend controls that you can use. So in this case, I can actually take the lower half of the face and just rotate the whole thing. I can just take this and help add to that pressure. So I'm just going to bend the face just a little bit, and then maybe squash it up just a little bit as well to add kind of that tightness to the whole mouth. Maybe even to the head there, just a little bit. So it's not a huge change, but it just helps to add a little bit of pressure. And yeah, I think that's pretty good. I want to see if I can maybe bring the eye in just a little bit. Does that help? Yeah. More cross-eyed the character, the more kind of cute they become. You don't want to go so far that he's kind of doing this. Although that's an interesting look, I will say. But yeah, just a little bit is going to help make him feel a little bit more vulnerable. Okay. Feel like this side of the mouth could be pushed a little bit. Let me just exaggerate that a little bit. Yeah, I like both. We'll keep it that way. Now I think I could even take the jaw here and just rotate that as well, just a little bit, just to help push that line of action. Okay, there we go. So we've got our sad expression. But like I was saying, the way we got to it was we built up slowly. We worked through the core, and then we thought of how everything affects each other and how we can push that to be more believable. So let's actually just go through all of our posing here and see where we came from. So this is the default pose. Now this was the sad pose that we started with, and let me actually make sure I go through here. And what changed? The jaw. Okay. I just want to make sure I key everything so that we go back to our default pose. I should have just keyed it all right away, but see. Actually, let's just remake it. It'll be faster. So take that, key it, and then get key, and we just did mouth, whoop, and then the brows. So this was the sad pose that we started with. This is what I typically see when students start posing out their face, is just the emoticon face. It's the smiley face, the frowny face. It's just taking the base controls, moving them, and then ta-da, done. But that is not going to really help the whole thing. It's just going to be a very default bland expression. So instead, we pushed the posing, made sure we got that head angle in there, and then we blocked out the basic expression. From there, we pushed the expression, pushed the asymmetry, pushed the compression on one side versus the other. We pushed the compression between objects, so especially on the lips. From there, we started refining things, pushing in a little bit of the sympathetic action. You can see it doesn't make a huge difference, but you can kind of feel it in the cheeks a little bit more. The eyes feel a little bit more tense. It's not much, but that's what's going to really sell it. And then at the end, we just pushed the line of action with some extra bends to the face. I'm going to tilt that back here just because we were losing the actual lean to the face. So it's just adding pressure into that jaw right there. So from that to that. So that's basically the process of trying to get emotion. Now, the whole process, once again, is study first. Look at your own face. Look at videos online. Look at actual people feeling these emotions. Pictures are good. So if I just go in here and look for sad faces, okay, that's not bad, but more than likely you're going to find just generic faces of people pretending to be sad, like this one here. That's not sadness. This is pouting, and not even real pouting. It's pretend pouting. Same thing here. That's not sadness. Look at videos of of people actually being sad. So where was our video here where we had like this kid here looks like he's about to, yeah. So this kid crying. Look at videos, look at images, really study that. Then look at actual film. So look at movies where characters really feel like they're crying and feel very emotional. But more importantly, look at cartoons, animated films where characters are feeling a certain emotion. From there, try to analyze what makes that read in comparison to the actual emotion that you saw before. Once you've done all of that, then you go into your animation. That's when you start to push that expression and thinking your way through it all, thinking how everything's connected. Look at the mirror on your desk or your webcam. Pay attention to where things are pushing and pulling. If you start doing that, you're going to create a facial expression that is interesting to look at, that's connected and feels dynamic, versus just a random expression that kind of is sad-ish. So let me actually, I'll do the other thing I see students do a lot when they're doing sad expression. Yeah, there we go. Sad. Or no, actually worse is the is this. This is the typical expression I'll see. So yeah, that is, it's not to say that you can't do that, but if you want a genuine expression, something that actually feels like the character is feeling something, you want to think through all of that connectivity. And then you can mix and match. You can make it more cartoony and break it to be a little bit more fun sad, or like as an audience we find it kind of funny that they're sad in this moment. And just Steph, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the sub. So I love this song. So I hope this helps. I hope that makes sense. It really is just a matter of thinking your way through it and pushing that line of action of the face. The line of action is going to be one of the biggest things that help to make a face look interesting. If you have a face, so we'll just kind of do a very basic face here, and everything's even. And let's say the character is looking this way. It can be interesting, but everything is flat and creates this just boring pose. But if you push this to be just a little bit more varied, so let's kind of do that, and then like this, suddenly that feels more interesting and it creates a curve to the face. It makes it dynamic and fun to look at. And if you were to push it the other way, so like that, you can do the same thing. So you're just reversing it. So really try to push that line of action and that contrapposto in the face. That's going to make a huge difference.